Businesses came to a standstill in Alexandra this morning. It says young people protested against big corporations, which they claim are not giving back to the community. Let's discuss some of them demands further. We're joined by Patrick Baloyi. He's from the Alex Chamber of Commerce. Patrick, thank you so much for your time tonight. I wonder, why protest against business in this way? What exactly would you want them to be giving back to the community?
No, thank you for having me. The reason for the protest today, it started earlier on the year with engagements with these big businesses. As a business institution, we went on to give out letters requesting for a meeting with these businesses so that we can start discussing how do we better coordinate and streamline our efforts in responding to some of the socio-economic challenges that are facing the township. And what small business owners in Alexandra want is they want the big businesses to procure from smaller businesses, market access, assistance with finances, as well as formulating a partnership with these businesses, precisely because we have a lot of government policies such as your BBBE policy that speaks to changing the complexion of the economy. And now this is speaking to that. How do we then start practicalizing an inclusive economy that we always talk about? One is one that does not exclude the majority of the people from partaking in it.
Sure, and of course in the same breath, you'd be operating under a highly competitive environment. So as far as the chamber is concerned, what is it that you're putting on the table that will make business opt for local businesses rather than perhaps going elsewhere in Johannesburg to find service providers?
We have a member base of 400 companies, small businesses, which they participate in various industries. And they do offer a value proposition in terms of the products and the services that they offer. But however, the problem is we can never compete with your large corporates because, number one, we do not afford to. Number two, we believe that the products that these people have do create value. Now, what we want as a business chamber, number one, is that if you look at your reports such as the Competition Commission, which does identify into the grocery retail market, for instance, it does identify a couple of red tapes from these businesses, including your exclusive lease deals, barrier to entry for the smaller guys into the market. And we believe that SMMEs are prolific in job creation. Now, what the chamber wants to do, and this is our mission, is to bridge the socio-economic gap between our surrounding, including ourselves, because we are the only black community in Region E, which is a very affluent and opulent suburb and well-industrialized area. Now, we believe that we do have something that we can offer. What we want is equal opportunities. So this is a battle really for reclaiming the township economy. Because if you can see, ShopRite and Pick n Pay have now plans to operate inside your townships, and already they are selling what we call amaguinya, slice, quarters, and those are the businesses that our people are lingering onto, your survivalist entrepreneurs. We do have some fashion designers who are able and capable of producing for your Markhams, your Pep, your Mr. Price. But what we're saying is that we need to be given this opportunity and fail. And then you can say that we are not up to the task. But now, as it stands, these companies are not even willing.
What reasons have they given you for not being willing to even go as far as having the conversation with you?
Well, they've been silenced. And to us, that is an indication of unwillingness to work with us. It is better if you respond us and say, look, I don't want to work with you, and give your reasons why. Or I don't want to work with small companies in Alexandra, and give the reason why. Unlike just being numb and expecting that the community will support your business. Now, we are coming from that perspective that as young people, we can never allow a situation whereby we are not partaking in the local economy, because that is precisely what we have. And now if these big companies want to now start operating within that space, we believe that they're taking the very last that we have. And already we have seen this with your so-called Somalian shops that have killed spaza shops, you know. And of course the situation is complex and it has a lot of dynamics around it. But it is about time that we had a discussion about these particular issues so that we can resolve them.
And I completely understand the burden and the complexity that it places on those that are running these businesses and then are now facing closure. But I wonder how much work you as a chamber are putting together to drive for more innovation so that there isn't necessarily a mentality of entitlement to business, because it is a competitive space. So I wonder what work you are doing to make sure that even the businesses that you represent are able to put forward compelling cases going forward, especially for the bigger organizations that they'd want to be service providers too.
So we do work with, we have partnerships with companies to assist our small businesses comply, organize themselves much better, because as an organized institution, that is our primary mandate, to offer that support to them. Yes, this is a conversation we need to have with business as well as government, because we are an NPC, but we do have those programs that speaks to readiness, capacity building for these smaller businesses, such as your financial literacy programs, where these businesses will get an insight of how to handle your company's finances, how to do a bankable business plan. But we do all of that, and people are now tired of that because they are subjected to these workshops, they get certificates, they don't have access to the market. And that is really discouraging for these businesses. It's like what we're seeing now, we are told to go to school, you go to school, but you don't find jobs. It's discouraging. I'm not saying we shouldn't go to school at all, but it is discouraging to engage in an exercise where you don't see any outcome from it.
So where then your potential business partners are quiet and non-responsive to your call, I wonder what the answer is. Does it mean more shutdowns of Alex, or are there alternative means that you're looking at pursuing?
No, we have tried reaching out, and it is quite clear that these businesses are not, it's either they are not willing or they are arrogant. And after today's protest, we have reconvened immediately after it to say how should we then move forward. But one position that we all agree on is that we do need to do some more of these particular demonstrations. How we do it and how we go about it, we need to revisit the drawing board. But more of these will be still happening, where you won't have any business operation in Alex until we get that commitment and time frames from these companies. And it would be easier for us to rope in government because also government has been failing us on these programs. And such as your BBB policy, government says that these people are not obliged, but the only leverage it has is that it won't give them license and permits if they do not adhere to these policies. But we do see these companies expanding irrespective of their BBB status quo. I can tell you right now that ShopRite is non-compliant, Pick n Pay is non-compliant, most of these big businesses are non-compliant, and we don't see their enterprise and supply development programs being rolled out in a township or skill development programs being rolled out in a township. But what we do see though is more of your charity work, where they treat the township as a Nelson Mandela project, where they will just come in, offer food parcels. Not that we don't need them, but we're creating dependency out of these things, because the minute you stop supplying these things, you will have these people vulnerable and without these food and not developed. Sure. So immediately, if we enter into partnerships, if we enter into formal commercial relationships where we are evaluated based on performance, that we don't mind.
All right,
we are waiting for that opportunity.
Sure. Let's leave it there for tonight. Patrick Baloyi, he's with the Alex Chamber of Commerce. We're going to take a short break. I'm back with your headlines in a moment. Do stay with us.